All right, folks, it was fully my intention to talk you through this as I made it, but my little girl was taking a nap not in my arms, and if you have a baby who struggles with sleep or ever had a baby who struggles with sleep, you know that you seize the moment and you don't touch that with a 10-foot pole. So I went full carpe diem, and I'm just going to do a voiceover and talk you through how I make my blackberry pie. It's a pretty standard recipe. Most blackberry pies are made this way with very slight variations. I did forget to record. I did put a half a lemon's worth of lemon juice into the blackberries along with a cup of sugar, and here I'm getting ready to put in 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, and these are just blackberries that I had been picking and freezing throughout the week. I think I mentioned it in a previous vlog, and I got them out to thaw. It's about 5 cups. I would do heaping cups. I did 5 even cups, not thinking that my pie plates are 9.5 inches instead of 9 inches, so I could have used a little bit more blackberries in my pie, but it is what it is. It's fine. It'll eat the same. So I'm just going to mix that up. Again, that's 5 cups of blackberries, some lemon juice, a cup of sugar, and 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. I'm going to mix that up and let it sit while I make my crust. All right, now we're gonna barrel through how I make my pie crust. I just use the recipe that's on the can of Crisco. So it's for a double pie crust for a 9-inch pie. It's 2 cups of flour, 3/4 cup of Crisco, a little bit of salt, and between 6 and 8 tablespoons of water. I am gonna add the Crisco, and I do this all with my hands. I know people use pastry cutters or use their KitchenAid with the pastry attachment or whatever. I just do it the way I was taught, and I've got to get my hands in there and feel it to feel what consistency it should be. But essentially, you want the shortening or butter or lard or whatever it is you're using as your fat in your pie crust to be the size of peas, and you want a really crumbly mixture before you start adding in the water. So here I am just crumbling all that up, getting it to the texture that I want it. And of course, wash your hands because they're covered in fat and flour. And when I'm done doing that, I'm going to start adding in my water, about 2 tablespoons at a time, and mixing that up. And you want to add water until when you squeeze the dough, it maintains its shape. So, or the crust, whatever you want to call it, until it maintains its shape. So here I am just adding that water a little bit at a time and stirring it up until I get the, consistency, texture that I want. And here you can kind of see what that looks like. I tried to give you different angles this go around so you can kind of see. I don't know about everybody watching, but I'm a pretty visual person. I need to be able to see what's happening to really understand. So there's that, and then I'm just going to flour my counter and roll out my crust. Does anybody else have a really hard time rolling out your pie crust to make it round? I struggle so hard. The bottom crust always looks like a patchwork quilt because I've rolled it out and the edges are broken, or it's a rectangle instead of a circle, and it never looks nice, but no one sees that part of the pie anyhow, so I guess I shouldn't worry about it too much. Here I am just splitting that crust in half, half for the bottom crust and half for the top crust, and I'm just gonna get that rolled out, and it's going to look like absolute trash. But it will do the job. The main thing though with the bottom crust, even if it does look like a patchwork quilt like mine does, you need to make sure that there are no holes in the bottom crust, because blackberry pie, well, any fruit pie, is very juicy, and that juice will get underneath the crust, and that's how you end up with, if anybody on here watches Bake Off, that's how you get your soggy bottoms. So even if you have to do a lot of patching, just make sure that the base is really well sealed. before you add your filling. Hey guys, it's a new day. It is Friday and we are going to make some blackberry jelly. I'm getting a way later start to the day than I wanted to. I was gonna have I'm having my caffeine for the day. But I was going to have a lunch with some girlfriends, but that ended up falling through. So I went ahead and got ready. And then right as it would have been time for us to leave to go to the lunch that we were gonna have, because it takes me about 30 minutes to get to any town from where I live, Lily desperately needed a nap. And desperately is an understatement because she slept for 2.5 hours. So I don't know where that came from, but we're both put together and ready to roll, and we're going to head into town because I need to get pectin, new jar lids, sugar, and I think that's it. Well, there's a few like piddly things that I need to get for the house, but that's neither here nor there for what y'all need to see. But let's go ahead and go to the store and get what we need to can our blackberry jelly. Hey guys, we're back home. I'm gonna try to do this to where you can hear me, but also not wake Lily up, because I think she's just decided today to transition from 3 naps a day to 2 naps a day. So we'll see how it goes. I might be back and forth a lot. I don't know. This is new. But we just got back from the store and I just got some Sure Gel pectin. If you don't want to get pectin when you make your jelly, you can use the same recipe that you find anywhere else online. But if it calls for a package of pectin, you can use a half of a green apple. Don't cut it up into tiny pieces or anything. Just leave it like half of a green apple and throw it in your fruit as you cook it, and it has the same. Sorry, excuse me. I've been really working hard on that Coke. I know that's gross. But it has because pectin comes from fruit. So if you throw a half a green apple in with your fruit as it cooks down, it'll do essentially the same thing. I just like using this specifically because I am going to can it, and I like when you're canning stuff. In my opinion, this is just my opinion, you can take it or leave it, but you need to be as by the book as possible. It's kind of like baking. You don't want to veer too far from the measurements given in baking, because it is science and it works a certain way with certain ratios of things. Canning is the same way. Botulism is very real, and I promise you don't want it. So I try to stick really closely with either Ball recipes, the Ball Canning Company, their recipes, because they're safe and vetted and everything. And I use the recipe on the back of the Sure Gel packs. This isn't an ad for Sure Gel or anything. It's just what I use. It's what I like. I get the traditional or the original kind. You can get one for less sugar if you're concerned about that. But sorry, not sorry. If you're eating jelly, you're probably not very concerned about sugar. Hot take. And then I got just a regular mouth lids, the Ball brand canning lids. That's something else. When you're canning, you can reuse your rings all you want to. I mean, as long as they're clean and not rusty or anything like that, you can use them. The lids, you really need to get new lids with fresh seal every time you can something. And I know there's some stuff out there, and I know certain communities, like we have a pretty substantial Amish community in our area, and they swear by boiling your canning lids in baking soda to like bring them back to life to where you can reuse them. I'm not willing to risk it. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying that I don't feel comfortable doing that, so I get new lids every time. That doesn't always mean that every single one of them is going to seal either, but I get new lids every time. I've been canning on my own as an adult. How long have Wayne and I been married? 9 years. I've been canning on my own as an adult for 9 years, and I maybe have had 5 or less cans not seal in my adult life. So, and I get new lids every time, and I always have, probably always will. So that's where we're at with things. Um, and I'm going to reposition and kind of talk you through what I'm going to do. Making jelly is a very slow, it seems like a very slow process until it's not, and that's how most canning is. It seems like you just wait, and then you have to do everything all at once. So you really need to be prepped. I've got my scrap bucket out. I know this is disgusting and it's full of scraps, but I'm going to need it for all the blackberry seeds. So I've got that set out, and then the chickens are going to eat really good tonight. And I also picked some wild blackberries, and here I am. I said I would reposition you. We go through this stuff, and I'm just grabbing it as I go. Maybe that's what will happen. Anyway, wild blackberries, if you're from our neck of the woods, wild blackberries make really good jelly. If you've ever picked wild blackberries, you know that it is a labor of love, to put it mildly. I got these this morning. I'd say this is a cup and a half-ish of wild blackberries. And I'll just show you for comparison. I've got some wild blackberries mixed in with some that I've thawed. But just to compare, like, this is a wild blackberry. This is a tame blackberry. So it takes a lot. And wild blackberries have thorns. So, and I don't know anybody who grew up around here or anywhere that has wild blackberries. Did anybody else's grandma, mom, or whoever, like when you picked wild blackberries, you went outside and it's the middle of June. Today's not terrible. I think it's like 86, 87 degrees and 60% humidity, which is kind of a break for us, honestly, especially in the humidity department. But my grandma, when we would pick wild blackberries, she would have us go outside in leather work gloves, a denim shirt because you don't want to get snagged on all those briars, blue jeans, and boots. In 90 degrees, most of the time our humidity is 75% if we're lucky. It's hot. I'm using a mix of wild and tame blackberries for my jelly. And also you can see, I mean, these are just going to be so much harder to pick through and clean. They are good, but if you've got tame blackberries and you don't want to fool with wild blackberries, or you don't have access to wild blackberries, or you just bought blackberries at the grocery store or the farmer's market, it's fine. It's totally fine. Like I said, I'm going to mix mine up because I have access to wild blackberries. We've got a fence line that we've kind of let go wild. But anyway, and we've got blackberries growing in that fence line. But if I didn't have access to wild blackberries and I only had my tame ones, I would still be making jelly with them. So that being said, I'm going to clean up these wild blackberries and really will move you this time and kind of show you what kind of setup I use. You don't have to do it this way. I just find that this works the best for me because I like to just get things done. Alright guys, hopefully you can see everything okay here, but I've got my water bath canning pot. I think I just got it at Walmart several years ago, and I want to say I saw these exact ones, if not something very similar, when we were just there getting the pectin and the sugar and all that good stuff for like 20 bucks right now. They were on sale, and it's just a great big pot, and it's got the rack in it where you put your jars, and you can dunk your jars down in your water and pull it back up. Before we even start, I'm going to fill this, not all the way, but I'd say, because I'm only using these little jelly jars, and they're just 8-ounce jars, not pints or anything. So I'm going to fill this up until, and I'll put a jar in there. So once it fills up to, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 inches above the top of it, above the top of the jar, sorry, I will then set the pot on the stove, turn the heat on, put all my jars in there, have them fill up with water, and let it come to a boil. And that's how I'm going to sterilize my jars. And you also want to sterilize your rings and your lids. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get out a saucepan with some water in it, put it on a burner over here that you can't see on the other side of this water bath canner, and just boil that and get that stuff out as I need it. And then this pot is going to be what I use to cook my jelly. There are different ways that you can make jelly. You can make a freezer jelly, or you can cook it and can it like I'm doing. Freezer jellies are great. I just don't have enough of those little containers to make freezer jelly. And to be honest, if it lives in my freezer, unless it's like ground turkey or I don't know, popsicles or something that we eat on a regular basis, I forget it exists. I need things in my line of vision, or it doesn't exist anymore. Let me know if you're the same way, but I'm the world's worst about that. I'm bad about it at home. I'm bad about it in my classroom, at work, just everywhere. If I can't see it on a regular basis, it doesn't exist. So I can all my jelly, and I think it just looks pretty. I think it's nice. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done, and then I will get the camera in on a close-up here and show you how I cook down the berries with the sugar and the pectin and all that good stuff to get our jelly going. Of the jelly making process, we'll just see. But I did forget to mention before I start cooking my berries down a few supplies that you'll need, and I have everything set out. Lily would like to demonstrate one for you now. This is a jar grabber, and they sell these at most big box realtors. Why do I keep saying realtors? Retailers. Realtors sell property. Retailers. So this is just a jar grabber. You'll definitely want one of these because otherwise getting the jars out of your boiling water is not going to be a good time. And you'll also want a wide mouth funnel for your jars so you can easily fill them. Because again, otherwise filling your jars is not going to be a fun time. And for blackberry jelly, you don't necessarily need this for other jellies. And if you want your jelly to have the seeds in it and be more like a jam, that's your business. Go right ahead. I don't love my jelly to be seedy and not like seedy, but actual seedy. So do you see yourself? Hello. No, we're interested in the jars and everything now. But I'm going to run my blackberry jelly through a food mill before I fill my jars. You want this? Go right ahead. And I've got this big metal bowl under my food mill, and I also have this mesh, or I guess that's not mesh, this like sieve attachment situation at the bottom of my food mill, so it won't let the majority of the seeds through. Nobody's going to die if a few seeds get through, but for the most part, I like a smooth jelly. Whoa. And this recipe that I'm using, it's on the back of the Sure Gel carton. It makes 8 half pints. So that's what I've got here. That's what I'll sterilize. I've got 8 rings. You usually can only buy the lids, the canning lids, in packs of 12. That's okay. I'm not going to be upset that I've got 4 leftover lids when I start making pickles and cowboy candy and stuff like that here in a few weeks when the cucumbers and peppers are going crazy. So that's where we're at with that. And then I'm going to see if Miss Thing can entertain herself for a little bit while I get my ingredients cooking in my pot, and I will walk you through. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. Lily has things to say about it, but I've got my jars in water in my water bath canner, and I'm just going to bring those. They're just empty. Well, they're not empty. They're full of water. I'm just going to bring them to a boil to sterilize them, and then I'll put that saucepan on the other burner to sterilize the rings and the lids while I cook my blackberries. Now, you can do this one of 2 ways. It doesn't really matter one way or the other. I'm going to do this part first, but you can do it last, right before it goes into the jars. Just keep in mind that you'll be working with a really hot liquid, so I want to do this now. But this recipe calls for 2 quarts of berries or fruit. And it's the same across the board. If you're doing peaches, raspberries, blackberries, cherries, blueberries, whatever, it's 2 quarts or 8 cups of fruit, 7 cups of sugar, and a pack of pectin. That's it. But since I don't want mine to have seeds in it, yes, do you have things to say? Or are you just hanging out? Oh, you got hiccups. Anyhow, since I don't want mine to have seeds in them, I'm going to go ahead and run mine through the food mill. I don't want to be doing that while this is all hot. I got to thinking about it and I was like, I should probably do this now. I do this every year, but when you only do something once or twice a year, you got to kind of think your way through it again every time. That's where I'm at with this. So I'm just going to run these blackberries through this food mill first and then put the liquid back in this pot with my 7 cups of sugar. Stir, 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 cook. Once that comes to a simmer, just barely a simmer. Basically, once it starts to steam a little bit, I'll add the pectin in, and you'll stir that for about 5 minutes until it starts to thicken up. And then by that time, my jars should be sterile and ready to come out. I'll take my jars out, dump them, make sure there's no water in them, and then I can start filling my jars up, putting lids and rings on my jars and putting them back in that boiling water for the water bath. And the water bath is, I will double check. You want to always make sure on your altitude what your time is on your water bath canning. But I'm pretty sure for jelly, it's just 5 minutes. But like I said, I will double check and I will confirm or deny. All right, guys, I have got my blackberries. It's pretty much just juice now and some of the fruit or the berry pulp. Got all the seeds out. It does take some time and some patience, so there's that. And I've also got my sugar in here. And I've got it on low heat. I feel like my stove gets really, really hot. Yes, Lily agrees, if you can hear that in the background. So I've got this on low heat so my berries don't burn, or my jelly doesn't burn rather. How in the world did a whole berry get in there? Well, that's gonna be good. But I'm just gonna stir this almost constantly since it's on lower heat. If I need to take a break to do something, which I will in a second, my rings and lids are boiling and have them for about 5 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and take those out pretty soon and lay them out to cool off and dry before I need to use them. I do recommend, like, this part of my counter over here is kind of going to be my workstation and my dump station, so I'm going to put a dish towel. I'm going to lay out a dish towel right there so I can get my jars and lids and rings out and let them cool off and dry once they've boiled for long enough, which is about 5 minutes. And Lily's got the tripod, so sorry if that just shook like crazy. Yeah, are you proud of yourself? Good job, sis. And then once everything's processed, I can take my jars out and set them on that kitchen towel so it doesn't scorch my countertops or anything, which it really shouldn't. My countertops are quartz, but I'm kind of particular about them, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that and get the rings and lids out. All right, guys, my jelly has cooked. So you put essentially your fruit juice and your pulp in the pot, along with the package of sugar gel, pectin. Let that come to a rolling boil. Add in your 7 cups of sugar. Stir, stir, stir until it comes up to a boil again, and then you let it boil for a minute. And then you will have, let me see if I can get you a close-up on this without just absolutely making you nauseous, motion sick. You'll have this foam on top, and that's why I have this spoon. You'll just want to skim that foam off the top before you start filling your jars, and you can see my water bath canner is going to town. It's ready to go. So I'm just going to skim this off and start filling up my jars and get them in the pot to process. And it is 5 minutes. Yes, that's so exciting, isn't it? 5 minutes to process, and then we'll take them out, put them back on this dish towel, and let them set, and hopefully they all seal. And you'll know they seal when you hear the pops. Good morning, guys. It is Saturday morning. It is upload day, but I didn't just want to leave you guys cold at the end. I made some biscuits this morning to go with the blackberry jelly that I made yesterday. You want to let that sit for at least 12 hours before you open it. It's recommended 24, but all of my jars sealed like within 2 minutes of me taking them out of the water bath canner. And you know they've sealed when they pop. So I made those biscuits, just the Crisco recipe. I'm very much a believer of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That recipe works just like the pie crust recipe. If it works, it works. You can substitute like butter or lard, whatever your choice of fat is in the pie crust or the biscuits recipe that I'm going to link in the description box of this video. So I hope you enjoyed this week. I know this video is a little bit longer than mine usually are. Hopefully that's not like boring. And I know that my voice is like gravel in a wood chipper, so hopefully it didn't get annoying hearing me talk so much. But I will post all of the recipes that I used this week, along with all of the links to the outfits that I wore this week in the description box. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. Bye.